civilized things that I've discovered that we can do as humans is to carry a personal firearm. It is the most civilized thing in modern times. Now let me explain why. As humans, we deal with each other in only three ways. We can reason with each other. I can entice you or pay you to do what I would like you to do, or I can force you. If you want me to do something for you, you have a choice of convincing me via argument, pay me in some way, or force me to do your bidding under threat or threat of force. Every human interaction today falls into one of those three categories, without exception: reason, reward, or force. Now, if our society was truly moral and civilized, the only ways we would ever deal with each other would be through persuasion or reward. Force would have no legitimate place as a valid method of social interaction, period. The only thing that removes force, however, from the equation is that each person have equal force. Now, in a truly moral and civilized society, we would interact exclusively through persuasion or reward. Force would have no legitimate place as a valid method of social interaction. The only thing that removes that from the menu, however, is each person having equal force. No one should move around in the world assuming that they have a right or a privilege to use force to get what they want from someone else. Now, as an example, between countries, way back in the Cold War days, there was a phenomenon called MAD, M-A-D, which is mutually assured destruction. My nukes could destroy you, but while that was going, you'd launch your nukes and destroy me, and we'd all go take a dirt nap together. In the modern world, for individuals, the equalizer is the personal firearm, not a nuke. See, in this way, the gun encourages the use of civilized interaction. Now, it sounds like a paradox, but it's true. An armed society is a polite society. You see, for a person who's carrying a firearm, you can't deal with them by force or threat of force. You have to use reason or enticement or some other kind of persuasion, because they have a way to neutralize your threat or your employment of force. Now, this is important. People think that as you walk around in the world, people are physically equal. That is just not true. The only place where that is true is in sporting events where the rules demand equality of strength to have a fair fight. In the outside world, there is no such thing as a fair fight. It is the personal firearm, the handgun, the gun. That's the only tool that neutralizes and makes equal a 100-pound woman against a 220-pound mugger, a 75-year-old retiree against a 19-year-old gangbanger. The gun removes the disparity in physical strength, size, and numbers between the potential attacker and the defender. Look, there are plenty of people who argue that if we just removed all guns from the world, from civilians, that we'd be more civilized. People who argue for the banning of personal defensive firearms are asking for automatic rule by the young, the strong, and the many. And that's the opposite of a civilized society. That's the opposite for me, especially the older I get, right? A mugger, even an armed one, can only be successful when the victims have been disarmed, because the bad guy doesn't care. They're going to have what they need to have. And the result is the state has given a de facto monopoly in that case to the criminal. That makes no sense. I know you've heard this, I have. The gun makes confrontations between people more lethal when otherwise there would just be a couple of folks getting a bit hurt. There would just be injury. This is a really stupid argument. Without guns involved, confrontations are won by the superior party who administers a deadly beatdown on the victim. The loser is hurt very badly, and if you haven't been exposed to ground 'em and pound 'em, you've been living I don't know where, but not in this universe. The loser is injured very badly in almost every case. People who think that fists and bats and sticks and stones don't constitute lethal force, you're watching way too much entertainment TV, too many movies where people get the crap beat out of them and all they got is a broken lip, a little cut with a little bandage, and they're okay. That just doesn't happen. They come out badly hurt. The fact that the gun makes the delivery of lethal force easier is the way it should be. It works only in the favor of the weaker person, not the stronger person. If both are armed, the playing field is level, and the outcome will be as the outcome will be. The gun is the only personal defensive tool that's lethal in the hands of an old person versus a young person, light versus heavy, male, female. It just wouldn't work if the force wasn't both lethal and easy to deploy. Look, when I carry a gun, I don't do it because I'm looking for a fight. I know of no one who carries who does. I'm looking to be left alone, and so are my colleagues. The gun that I carry means that I cannot be forced to do what you want me to do. I can only be persuaded or enticed. I like enticement, by the way. I don't carry because I'm afraid. I'm enabled to be unafraid. Now, for those who would want to interact with me, their actions are not limited at all because I carry a firearm. As long as they want to interact via reason, persuasion, or enticement. If they want to use force or threaten force, then I'll have to bring a ruckus. So because carrying a personal defensive firearm removes force and a threat of force from a civilized encounter, the most civilized thing you can do to improve our civilization